The following is from the Agency for Instructional Technology, AIT.
By relying on a sequence of steps, you can easily learn how to draw a face. In this program, Paul will explain a procedure for drawing faces and locating features.
I'm drawing a loose circle here. Doesn't have to be perfect. It represents the skull looking face on. Now, after I have that sketched in, I put a mark in the center. I find the radius there, half, and I add that half down here, and that gives me the point of the chin. So I'm sketching the outline of the face, including the skull and the jaw, the two parts. Now I'm ready to locate the features, not draw them yet, but locate them. So from the top of the skull to the chin, I guess of what is halfway, and that's an eye line. Then from the eye line down to the chin, another half, and that's the base of the nose. And then again from the base of the nose to the chin, and I have a lip line, separation of the lips. And I put a mark here for the eyes, the pupils, which will be about one eye apart. Now I have the skull and the jaw and the features located, and a mark about halfway for the hairline. That's front view. That's the first step. Now if I'm doing it side view, instead of a circle, I'll need to sketch an oval, loose oval. Don't worry about all these loose lines. They'll tend to disappear because the skull is an oval shape at side view. It's not a circle. Here's the skull. Now when I hinge the jaw here, I tilt this line. It doesn't come straight down. But I still use the same measurements here and here. And then I'm ready to hang the jaw, suggest the ear, using the same measurements for the side view. Halfway would be the eye. Halfway between the eye and the chin would be the base of the nose. And then halfway between the base and the chin, I have a line which would represent the mouth. Now I have the features laid out. The skull's laid out, the features laid out, the jaw. Now I'm ready to think about sketching in the features. I like this system because it divides the head into two parts, the skull and the jaw. Then as we outline those parts, we're ready to place the features. Not draw the features yet, but place the features. Another reason I like this is it gives a feeling of solidity, of roundness, so that when we draw in the features, they will follow, the eyes will follow around the skull and the mouth can follow around the jaw. Now let's see how we draw the features. Here's a sketch of the head, the skull, and the jaw, and the features not only located but sketched in. But how do you sketch them in? Let me give you some tips, and I'll draw a little larger here. Starting with the eye, which is the most prominent feature of the head. One way to do this, you don't have to do it this way, but one way to do this is actually draw an eye, as you would see in an anatomy book or in a medical journal. It looks funny to begin with. So you have the eyeball, you have the colored part of the eye. Now you have that feeling of roundness. Add the upper lid. And as you're adding the upper lid, touch this part of the eye. Now the upper lid does not always touch that if you're frightened or surprised, but in most instances that's the way it'll be. Now you see the upper lid is covering the eyeball. Now the lower lid does not have as much curve to it. and you'll see a darkness at the corners of the eye, and usually a little shadow below the upper lid, because most times the light is from the top. Now, in placing the lower eyelashes, don't put them right on the eyelid. They're the thickness of the eyelid away. And the upper eyelashes curve out at the edge like this. There's the upper eyelid. Then you'd have an eyebrow up here. And that eyebrow is located usually about half the width of an eye above, but that depends on the expression. If you're angry or surprised, the eyebrow will change. And we can put some shadow down toward the bridge of the nose and some shadow back here. So you see, in drawing the eye, I started with the eyeball and drew the eye and then put the eyelids over it. Then you get that feeling of roundness. Now, the nose front view is a foreshortened problem. So the bridge of the nose will come down, and whether you draw these lines or intend to leave them, it's nice to have them there. And the bridge of the nose comes up, then it tilts back. And in most cases, you'll see a nostril here and the nostril here, the sides of the nostril. This separation down here for the lip. And this will be in a little bit of shadow here because it's turned at a different angle. And if the light comes over here, you may have a shadow here. Then the upper lip curved like this. And it's usually in three parts. And there's a little dip here. Then the lower lip is down here. And it's not as wide as the upper lip. But it'll have a small dip here, and it'll come around and end. And they are, try to draw them what we call symmetrical. That means even on both sides. And the upper lip will usually be shadowed if the light's from the top. And if the light's from the top in this direction, this will be in shadow, and you'll see a shadow from the cheek. But in drawing the other eye, you would simply reverse it, and as far as distance, usually about the distance of an eye apart is the spacing. But people's eyes, of course, and features vary. So if you're drawing a portrait, you must check and look at them. And down here, of course, we'd have a chin. Now that's a suggestion for drawing the features front view. The eye is not hard to draw if you follow this suggestion, and neither are the lips. The nose you must work with because as you tilt the head, you see less of the nostrils. So you must determine the angle, and that will tell you how much you will see underneath the nose. At times you may just see a dip there and not the nostrils at all. Now let's look at drawing features side view. I started out the same way with the skull and an oval-shaped side view, attached the jaw by using the measurements. Now I can, from the top of the skull to the point of the chin, I'll make a line about halfway, and that suggests the eye. Then from the eye to the chin, I'll put another mark, and that's the base of the nose. And from there to the chin, another mark, and that's the separation of the lips. Now this is a side view. So the eye in side view now is going to be drawn in a cone shape with the rounded part of the eyeball. And the pupil of the eye will, looking at its side view, will become an oval. And of course we'll see the upper lid and the lower lid. And usually the bridge of the nose is about where the eye is. And then it comes out and slants back this way. And of course the eyebrow would be up here. Eyelashes here. And here, this could be the center. In this case, looks like it's going to be the base of the lip, and that's all right. That's often how it works out. So we sketch the outline of the face side view as we are placing the features. Now, as far as drawing the cheek, watch this. This is important. You start up here, and you have a curve this way, that bone above the eye. Then the upper eyelid comes back the other way. So you have these reversing shapes. Here we go back again to follow the bottom of the eyeball, and then the cheekbone side view will curve out like this, and it will vary with some people have high cheekbones prominent and others not. In drawing the nose, you usually have a slant here, and side view you'll see part of the nostril. And you'll come down with a curve this way, and you're following the same procedure up here almost. You curve in, then you curve out for the upper lip, then you curve out again for the lower lip, and the upper lip will hang over the lower lip right here. Then you go back in a curve again, and you curve back again. So you have this procedure almost repeated itself. The curves here changing for the eye and down the face, and then after they leave the nose, they're doing the same thing. Curve out, in, out, in, out.
Practice drawing a front view of a person's head. First, draw the head and face. Mark the location of the eyes, nose, lips, and ears, then draw in each feature. It's helpful to have someone pose for you or to look at yourself in a mirror.
Later, you may wish to draw a side three-quarter view. You would use the same system. The skull, you just shift your lines 3/4 of the way over to place your features. Your center line comes down here now instead of here, and here's the top of the head.
Drawing a head can be made easier if you remember to treat it as a series of steps. These are not hard and fast rules because everyone is different. These are guidelines for observing those differences. Drawing with Paul Ringler is produced by the Agency for Instructional Technology in association with the Oklahoma Educational Television Authority.